time I do a super
Let me know, bro.
equation, they
I
say
don't know. It
you
was
shouldn't have
funny.
homework. All right. So, this is not in the notes, because we already did it, okay? We already did it, but I want to just kind of get your brains back thinking about what we did. This is the equation of a circle. Now, this one is not in your notes, I'm just making it up. This is the equation of a circle. All right, so try to think back, and we talked about this the other day. This is a circle. Now, your only job, the only thing you have to do with this circle is find the center and the radius. In order to do that, we have to change the equation to a different form. Do you remember that? How do we do that? How do we get this equation in the form that will give us the center and the radius? We have to what? Well, we're going to group the x's together, that's for sure. And we're going to complete the square. So I want you to look at what I've done. Notice I've put my x terms together and I've left a blank. You've completed the square. You know what we're going to do here. I put my y's together, completed, and I'm going to complete the square. And I moved that 3 to the other side because it has nothing to do with the x and the y. Okay? Now, how do I know what goes in this blank? I take half of this number and square it. Now I'll take half of this number and square it. This is a perfect square. It is x minus 2 squared. X minus 2 squared. This is a perfect square. Y plus 4 squared. And all that adds up to 23. Now, you remember where the center is? 2, negative 4. It's the opposite of those parentheses, 2, negative 4. And what's my radius? Anybody remember? Square root of 23. This number right here, see how you got an x squared and a y squared? This number is r squared. So if r squared is 23, then r is the square root of 23. Okay, remember that? That's in your notes. We've already done that. Today, what we are going to do, that's a circle. That's how circles are handled. And this is what equations of circles look like before you clean them up. They have an x squared and a y squared. Okay? Now, what's all that hair on your face?
Right here.
You guys gotta shave. You already suffered? I haven't put it in yet, but you're both gonna get one. You need to shave it.
What was that?
Okay, now I need to find my paper. Now we are going to deal with a new kind of equation. Here is 2a. Notice that equation looks different than this. This is a circle. Notice that only one letter is squared. Do you know what shape it is when you only have one letter square? It's a parabola. We studied parabolas already, didn't we? Only when we studied them before, they all either open up or down. Now we're going to talk about parabolas that open up and down, but also left and right. Remember, parabolas have only one squared letter. If the squared is x, it's just like all the parabolas you've already studied. This either opens up or down. What do you think? Noticing that's a positive number there. What do you think? This is an up. This one opens up. You want to take a guess where its vertex is? The directions say find the vertex. You know it opens up. You know where its vertex is? It's right at the origin. Now, how do I know it's at the origin? Well, is there anything added or subtracted in that equation? No. Now, let's look at this circle right here that we just did. This center was at 2 comma negative 4, right? And it was at 2 comma negative 4 because we had that plus and minus stuff in the parentheses. If we're not adding or subtracting anything, then you're right at the origin. Okay, it's going to start right at the origin. So that's where this one is, and it opens up. Good. Now, it says, find the vertex. All right, that's V. So go ahead and fill in 0, 0. That's your vertex. Alrighty? Now, it says find the focus and directrix. Now, the focus is a point right inside the parabola, and we're going to have to figure out where that point is. The directrix, right, so that point's called the focus. The directrix is a line in the opposite direction from the focus. So if the focus is above the vertex, then the directrix is a line that's going to be below the vertex. If you had a parabola opening sideways, the focus would be to the right. So the directrix would be to the left of the vertex. And these distances are the same. So however far it is from here to here is exactly the same as how far it is from here to here. So I would know what that point was if I knew how far that distance was, right? That distance right there from the vertex to the focus is called P. We use the letter P to denote that distance. In your equation, this number right here is always 4P. That number is 4P. Okay? So now wait a minute. My job is to figure out where that point is. I know it's P above the origin. What's P in this problem? 2. How do I know P is 2? Because 4P is 8. Right? So what would be the coordinates of that point right there? 0, 2. You are exactly right. So the focus is 0, 2. What would be the equation of my directrix down here? Okay, now the point right here would be 0, -2, but the directrix is a line. Y equals -2. Now, if you get confused about whether it's x equals or y equals, remember whichever axis it crosses is the equation. So this crosses the y-axis, right? So it's the equation y equals -2. I go up 2 for my focus. I went down 2 for my directrix. Now the only other thing it asks for is the focal width, which is also known as the latus rectum. And that is the width of the parabola through the focus. That number, if you find that width, that tells you whether you have a skinny little parabola or a big fat parabola, okay? This one, all the way across, is it. That number right there, that number right there, not only is it 4P, but it's also the length of the latus rectum, or the width of the parabola through the focus. That's all there is to it. That's pretty easy. Let's try try B. What's a little bit different about B? Do you notice anything? It's y squared. Now, what do you think that changes if it's a y squared parabola? What?
A little bit f equal 1.
This one's going to open sideways. Instead of opening up or down, this one's going to open left or right. Now, that's a positive 12. If this thing opened up, if this thing opened up and down, the positive would tell me up, right? Positive is up. What do you think the positive is in a left or right situation? To the right. This parabola has a vertex still at the origin. Okay, wait a minute. How do I know it's still at the origin? What do I not have? Plus or minus. No adds or subtracts. So it's opening to the right. Now I'm just freehanding it in. I know that inside here is my focus. Now, can we figure out where that focus is? Look at your notes. What did we do last time? How did we figure out?
4p.
That's right. We knew we went up 2, right? Where did the 2 come from?
So
4p was that number?
It doesn't matter if it's x or y.
Nope, doesn't matter. Whatever that number is, it's 4p. So 4p in this problem is 12. Which means p is 3. Which means you're going to march forward 3. Putting you where? What will that point be? 3, 0. That's your focus. That's the F point. That's your focus. Now, if you went forward 3 for your focus, you're going to go backward 3 for your directrix. So look at that. X equals -3. How does she know it's x equals? Because it crosses the x-axis. You start at the origin, because that's where our vertex is, at the origin. And we went forward 3 and backward 3. Everybody understand why it's 3 in this problem and it was 2 in that problem? It depends on that number right there. Now, what's my focal width? My focal width would look like this. How long is that? That is 12. So this parabola is a little bit fatter than that one.
Your focal width is whatever that number is.
Yep. Yep. Now, C is a little bit more complicated. Let's see if we can figure this out. All right, what do you think? Tell me anything you know about it. Where's the vertex? It is not at the origin. How do I know it's not at the origin? I got some adds and subtracts. Where do you think that vertex is? Stop and think about what you did with the circle. Do exactly the same thing. Where do you think your vertex is? 2, -1. The vertex is at 2, -1. Now, did anybody, I heard somebody say, -1, 2. That's a trick. Not purposefully tricky, but it's tricky. When we write an ordered pair, a point, what letter has to come first? X. So even though y is first in the equation, when you write your point, you have to put the x number first. Everybody see that? So it's 2, -1. All right. Now look, which letter is squared? Y. Okay, now wait a minute. Y squared means sideways. Okay, this is really dumb, but this might help you remember. Y side, they kind of rhyme. Okay, now listen, you gotta remember it, somehow you gotta remember it. If y is squared, it opens sideways. Now, that's a positive 4, so it opens sideways in the positive direction, which is right. So this opens to the right. Now, you're thinking about now, oh my gosh, Mr. Ford, there's a lot to remember. Yeah, there is. And there's going to be even more, so you need to stay on top of this.
Good.
Now, all you need to tell me are the focus, the directrix, and the focal width. Now, probably the focal width you can just fill in already. What's the focal width? 4. That's easy. It's 4. Excuse me. How am I going to find my focus? I need to know what P is. P is how far I'm going to go, right? So I'm going to look at my equation, and I'm going to say 4P is 4, which means P is 1. So we're going to start right here at this point, and we're going to go forward 1. Tell me where I'll be if I go forward 1. I'm going straight ahead. I'm going straight ahead. So won't it be 3 comma negative 1? Now, if you think that's going to confuse you a little bit, feel free to bring graph paper. You know, plot it on actual graph paper. That might help you. Now, if we went forward, just straight forward 1 step for your focus, I want you to go straight backward 1 step. So 1 step backward would be right here. What is the equation of that line? X equals 1. Beautiful. It's x equals because it crosses the x-axis, and it crosses the x-axis at 1 because you backed up 1 step. Got it? Starting to come together a little bit. Let's see, got some more examples. Let's try D. Tell me what you know about equation D. I would start with the vertex. That's kind of the starting point. Where is your vertex? I'm hearing 3, 1. Would everybody agree with that? X is 3, Y is 1. Is that okay with everybody? Now here comes a big question. Which way does it open? I've heard down and I've heard left, and those are both good answers because this is a negative. But this is not a Y side. This is an X. Which way do X's open? Up and down. X is open, X squares open up and down. Since that's a negative, this guy is opening down. Somewhere on your paper, X squared, up, down, Y squared, left, right. You need to remember that. Somehow. Now, that means my focus is down here somewhere and my directrix is up here somewhere. Would you agree with that? Remember, the focus is always inside the curve. And the directrix is always the other way. In order, well, what's your focal width? We can answer that right now. 8. Now, I wouldn't say negative 8 because it's a width, and we probably don't want to have a negative width. I would just say 8.
Design put that with your parent on.
Yep. What would the negative do? The only thing the negative does for me is what?
Tell you direction.
Tells me the direction. That's right. I'm going to go down or left. Now, This distance right here, I really need to know what that distance is. I need to know how far down I'm going. So do you remember how we get that number? 4p equals 8, so p is 2. Now, if you put the negative in there, I'm not going to complain here, because that's not a width. That's telling me to go down 2. I go down 2. You're going down 2 units. So if you go down 2, and again, feel free to use graph paper if you want. If you're going down 2 steps, what point will this be? 3 comma negative 1. Now you can't mess that up, kids. So if you need graph paper, use it. You're counting straight down. So your x isn't changing, it's staying right at 3, but you're coming down 2, so you'd be at negative 1. Now, go up 2 steps. What will be this equation if you go up 2 steps? Y equals 3. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Would you try E on your own? Compare notes with your partner. I'll put it up here and we'll check it, but let's see how you do with E. You need to find your vertex, focus, directrix, and focal width. Scotto, where'd you put your vertex? You are exactly right. Did everybody put the vertex at negative 1, 1? Remember, it's x comma y. Everybody get that okay? Here comes the big question. Bailey McHugh, which way did you have it opening? Couldn't hear you. What did you say? Which side, right or left? It is exactly to the right. There it is. Now, is there anybody in the room that wonders why it's opening right? It's y squared, so it's sideways, and it's positive, and positive is right. Got it? Now, somewhere in here is your focus, and somewhere out here is your directrix.
4 equals 16.
Yeah, I don't know where that is yet. I'm just randomly putting them up there. I'm going to label them now. Okay? How far is it from my vertex to my focus? It's P. And 4P is 16. So if you said that distance was 4, you are right. So here I am at my vertex. I'm going to take 4 steps to the right. Where will I be?
3, 1.
At 3, 1. Very good. And again, graph paper can be useful if that confuses you. Now, if I went 4 steps to the right, I'm going to go 4 steps to the left. X equals negative 5 is exactly right. And what's my focal width? 16. 16. There you go. There you go. Now, how do you feel about that? You feel okay about that? Because now what we're going to do is backwards. I'm going to give you some information, and you're going to write the equation. Okay? Quincy, what are you doing, honey? Well, quit looking at your feet, or whatever you're looking at, and pay attention here. We are going to write some equations. So we have a vertex of 3, -2. It opens right, and it contains the point 5, 1. Now, when we say it contains the point, kids, what we mean is that's a point on the parabola somewhere. Contains that point, okay? Your job is to write an equation that looks like this. So you're going to have something squared. You're going to have a number here, and then you're going to have something not squared. That's what parabolas look like. Now, sometimes we put x in here squared, and sometimes it's y that's in here squared. Which one is it in this case? Y. We know it's y being squared because it opens to the right. Right is sideways, which is y. We also know the vertex is here. So what number goes with the x?
+2.
Oh no, with the x being -3. And with the y would be +2. It's going to be easy to get those turned around. Pay attention. X goes with x, y goes with y. I don't know what this number is. It's a mystery. Any ideas?
Oh, we used to do these.
I think it's
I
one.
forget it. We've done these.
I hope you're being nice to each other. Your days together are numbered. You need to enjoy each other while you're still together. Here's what you know. See this right
That
here?
sounds so violent.
It says if x is 5, y is 1. It says the curve contains the point 5, 1. So in other words, if x is a 5, y is a 1. So we have 1 + 2 squared. So this is a 9 equal to n times 2. We put 1 in here because it said y was 1. So 1 + 2 is 3, squared is 9. I put a 5 over here. 5 - 3 is 2. So what is that mystery number? The number I couldn't figure out, I now know is what? 9/2, or if you prefer 4.5, 4.5. So your equation is y + 2 squared equals 9/2 x - 3.
Is that our final answer, 9/2?
No, the final answer is the equation. We needed to find that mystery number. 2 more, and we'll call it quits for the day. Alright, so here we go. This time, I have a vertex at 2, -3. That's my vertex. And I have a focus at 0, -3. And I'm going to write the equation of my parabola. Right? Something squared equals something not squared. Here's my vertex. Here's my focus. me what you know.
What do you want?
What do you know about your parabola? It opens left. Now wait a minute, does everybody see that? They told me the vertex and the focus. If the focus is back here, doesn't that mean it has to open to the left? What does that tell me about my equation then? What's going to be squared? Y. And whatever that number is, I heard somebody say it's going to be negative. Would you agree with that? Now, what goes in these parentheses? That should be easy.
Plus 3 minus.
Y plus 3, x minus 2. Now, this problem's different. Last time, they gave me this random point, right? And I plugged it in. Shoot. How am I going to find this mystery number this time? What do you think? Exactly. How far apart are these 2 points? Well, they're P. Numerically, how far apart are they? 2. So P is 2, which means the number that goes in the blank must be in 8, because this number is always 4 P's, remember? And it's negative because it's opening to the left. I can tell at the end of your first school day back, you guys are so excited to be here. One more problem. Let's struggle through this. All right, so we're going to write the equation of a parabola. Now, groupies, notice I start with my framework. And for a parabola, your framework is parentheses squared equals number times not squared parentheses. That's your format. Now I have a vertex at 1, 2. That's my vertex at 1, 2. And a directrix at y equals 1. Remember, whatever the letter of the equation is, that's the axis it crosses. So y equals 1 crosses the y-axis at 1. Now, tell me what information that picture gives you about your parabola. Jonathan?
Gives you your focus too, right?
Well, you would know what your focus is because if you came down, how much did I come down? 1. I'm going to go up 1 for my focus. So that would be at 1, 3. That's my focus.
Tells you it opens up.
Tells me it opens up. Does that make sense to everybody? That is huge. Because once you know it opens up, you know which letter goes where. X is squared, Y is not, if it opens up. Then, now you know what letters are where, you can fill in your vertex. So this will be X minus 1 and Y minus 2. The only thing missing is that number, but you know that number is always 4P, and you know in this problem P is 1, so that number is 4. Positive or negative? Positive because it opens up. Oh my gosh.
Wait, so what do you mean 4P equals 1?
No.
No. P is this distance.
Oh, gotcha.
That distance is always P.
You don't have to be.
Oh, okay.
I mean, she went up 1.
All right, next time we gather, which won't be tomorrow, it'll be what, Wednesday? All right, listen, we're gonna have a little quizzy poo. And the quizzy poo is gonna have 2 questions on it.
Okay.
So if you can just kind of relax a minute, we're not leaving till we have the blessing anyway. Let me give you a practice quiz.
Did you pick it up?
Now it's going to be a few days. Try to keep this in your brain. Okay, so the first question might be something like this. Find the focus, vertex, directrix, and focal width of this equation. Hey, we're not talking about our hair and stuff. We're talking about this.
What? Who's talking about the hair?
I don't know. Someone back there.
We still doing stuff?
Are we still doing stuff?
It's gonna be a small problem.
I'm giving you.
Kirby.
Next time we gather, we're gonna have a practice
Sounds like
quiz.
you. Oh, we're doing
We're doing math?
Actually, I failed the last
You were
one.
never punched in. What are you talking about?
That's so real.
Negative 530.
He goes, I punched out too. I never punched in.
Negative 530.
This isn't my first rodeo. I've done this before. All right, here we go. Morgan, look at her. She knows everything.
No. I just have a question.
Completely
Uh-huh.
out.
Is negative I 1 or negative 1?
Negative I?
Yeah.
Okay, negative I is negative I.
Negative I squared.
Negative I squared would be positive 1. Yeah.
Yeah, negative I.
What? Oh, at 1 I. So if you had like 2 minus I, that would be over 2 down 1.
Negative.
There's like a 1 there. You're graphing the 1, you're not graphing the I. Okay? Alright, next time we're going to have a quiz and you're going to want to know this. So here we go. Let's fill in the blanks. Where's my vertex? Negative 5, positive 3. Very good. Which way do I open? I need to know that so I know where to put my focus. I open to the left. Very good. That means my focus is back here. It is P away. In this problem, 4P is 20. So P is 5. Which means I'm going to back up 5 steps. Where would that put me if I backed up 5 steps?
Negative 10, 3.
Negative 10, 3. Very good.
Good job, man. I try.
Now, if I backed up 5 steps, I'm going to go forward 5 steps, and I would be at x equals 0. 5 steps ahead puts me at x equals 0.
Straight card.
What's my focal width?
20.
Don't
No,
say
not
negative.
negative.
The focal width is
Sorry.
20. So what, Joseph? So what does that tell you about this parabola? If the focal width is 20, this one is a fat one, right?
Cute.
This is 20. That's big. Quiz on Wednesday has 2 questions. That's one of them. The other question on the quiz is this.
It was so loud.
All right, here we go. I'm going to ask you what the center and the radius are. So what do? Gotta group the x's together, and let's leave a blank because we know what's coming. We'll group our Y's, leave a blank, because we know what's coming there too. And on the other side, make sure you have the same number of blanks as you had on the right. Right, here we go. What completes the square?
25.
25. For those of you that don't get it, remember, it's half of this square. What are you guys doing back there?
Studying.
You know what? You need to be paying attention to what's going on here. What number goes here? 36. So this is a square. What square is it? X minus 5. Watch it. Minus. This is a square. Y minus 6. And that is 67. What's my center? 5,6. What's my radius? There you go. So there are the 2 questions that are on Wednesday's quiz. Okay?